Saving money can feel impossible, especially when you're just starting out. Somehow your bank account stays empty every month, and it feels like saving is really only for people who already have money. But if you've ever felt like saving money is for the rich or the super disciplined, I feel this video would be just for you. Starting to save can be a little intimidating. A lot of people think saving has to be this big thing, like you need to save a huge amount of money at once, and that thought can hold you back from even trying, to be honest. Plus, life just keeps happening, bills, unexpected expenses, or the feeling that there's never enough left to save. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be complicated or huge to make a big difference. Here are some things I wish more people talked about when it comes to starting to save. So, there's a few myths about saving that needs to be busted. You need to make a lot of money to save. This is just simply not true. You don't need a big paycheck to start saving. You really just need to start. You really just need to put some money to the side and kind of get started. Another common myth: people think you have to cut out all fun to save money, and that's just simply not true. While personally myself, I tend to not really reward myself much. Usually, like any sort of leftover money, instead of buying a toy or I don't know, having a night out on the town, with the boys. I'd rather stick that money in the investment account and just continue to even stack that investment portfolio. So maybe don't be as strict as me when it comes to that part, but just remember that just because you're saving doesn't mean fun needs to be completely cut out. Especially and especially if you're in it for the long haul, because you're gonna be saving for the next 40 plus years. So definitely keep that in mind. Um, and you don't have to save hundreds a month for it to be worth it. A lot of us, we're in different situations. We make different amounts of money. We have different living situations. We have dependents who rely on our income. It's not just us as one person. Me personally. I pretty much just rely on my income. I end up just paying for myself. I don't have any dependents. I don't have a wife or kids currently. So I have a little more flexibility when it comes to my spending habits. So, that mindset actually, keeps a lot of people from saving. Even those little small amounts add up over time. So don't think it has to be a big number to count. So I kind of wanted to break it down a little bit further. So to actually start saving without stress or feeling overwhelmed, first let's track what's coming in and going out in our weekly or monthly basis. You can't fix what you don't see. So it doesn't have to be too fancy. Just take a look at your bank statements. So the best part about a W-2 or a bank account, I should say, is you can see what money comes in, especially through that direct deposit option at your employer, and you can see what goes out. You can see what goes out, whether you use a debit card, a credit card, or if you deposit, or excuse me, if you withdraw money, deposit money. You kind of just see what comes in, what goes out of your bank. And mostly every bank nowadays has an app, so it's easy to track on the go, especially on your mobile phone. So, next, pick one small habit to start. Something simple, like just rounding up your purchase to save the spare change, or transferring $5 every week. Like I said, the goal isn't to invest $100 a month if you don't have that capability. The goal is to just start building that habit, start building that reaction to start investing. And then I say the best way, me personally, automate it if possible. Even saving $10 a week adds up over time. Set up automatic transfer so it's easier and you don't have to think about it. Because most people, if you, a lot of people, if they rely on manually transferring the $10 every week or every month or whatever their schedule looks like, they simply won't do it. They'll figure out a way to spend that money, and that's just not the good habit we're trying to build. I think that's why 401ks are very helpful for some people. Some people aren't as driven to go in once a week, once a month, and manually put that $100, $20, whatever the number will be, into that investment account, into that savings account, high yield savings account, etc. So that's why 401ks are nice. They your employer usually takes a little percentage out, whether it be like 2, 3, 4, 5% of your paycheck, and automatically put it into the 401k. You don't see that little bit of money. it goes directly in there, so you don't have to worry about manually doing that on a monthly basis. So that's always nice. So automation is the key for the long haul. And then also, I'd say name your savings or have a goal for certain savings or reasons you're saving. So having a specific goal like an emergency fund or a vacation fund makes it easier to stay motivated. And here's a tip: use a second account or an app that doesn't have a credit card. Just makes it a little harder to dip into that money because it wouldn't be so easy to grab it out. So the first time I actually stuck to saving was when I gave my savings a name. So I actually set up a separate account just for my emergency fund, and I actually put that in a high yield savings account. We can always set up a video of like kind of just describing what a high yield savings account is later on. But long story short, it is just a separate bank or a separate account you can set up with different like financial entities, and it just offers a higher interest rate on your money that you leave sitting in the account. So, for instance, I use CIT Bank, and I just want to be clear: this is not financial advice. It's just my personal recommendations, personal opinions on financing. I'm no financial expert by any means, so don't take everything I say with 100%. Always take it with a little bit of grain of salt, and do your own research. So like a normal bank account would probably give you, I don't really know the interest rate, but let's say 0.00000001% interest on your money that you save in there. Compared to if you were to put it into a high yield savings account, which I'm sure averaging right now is probably like 3% to 4.5% interest on your money that you put in the account. I mean, TLDR, it's just more interest that you're going to receive on a monthly basis for keeping your money in there instead of keeping it in a normal savings account or a checkings account in your bank. So, like I said, do your own research on it. Get a better idea of it. I probably kind of sputtered that out a little bit. Probably didn't make too much sense. But like I said, do your own research on it, and it's very easy to understand, and you'll get a pretty solid idea of it. So, like I said, I put my emergency fund in a account like that, where okay, like it's easily accessible if I need to take it out in a pinch, and it's making me a little extra money on the side instead of keeping it in a normal bank account. So kind of like myself, starting with just $10 helped me see the small amounts can grow over time. Obviously initially you'll see $10 the first couple of months. You're like, oh wow, okay, I only got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $60. But maybe you can start investing a little more. Maybe you can go from $10 to $25 a month, and then all of a sudden you start seeing like, oh, $200, $300, $400. Just start stacking, and then eventually hit your thousands. Um, I feel seeing that progress kept me personally motivated, and I feel will help you do the same. So, I'm going to keep harping on this. You don't need to be perfect or have a huge amount saved, especially starting out. You just kind of want to get your feet wet. You want to start doing little small amounts of investing. Spend what's left after saving. That mindset shift can make a big difference in how you approach saving, in my opinion. So, kind of wrapping up here. If you've ever struggled with saving money, feel free to drop a money icon in the comments. I want to know what your biggest challenge is. Feel free to share your experiences, and I feel we can learn off each other and see. Hey, you personally made a mistake. Hey, maybe the younger guys can read that and be like, oh, hey, wow, like that does sound like a huge setback if I make that same mistake. Maybe I'll stay away from that. Or oh, hey, someone found this out when they were in their 20s or 30s. Wish they could have found out when they were a little bit earlier. Maybe one of the younger guys can take that and run with it. So, like I said, feel free to drop anything in the comments, and let's always have a discussion. Once again, more videos like this are on the way. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. And I hope you're enjoying the Clash of Clans attacks in the background of the video. Let me know, I mean, if you're still a Clash of Clans player, shout out to you. Let me know if you want to see different attacks in the background, or if you're looking to get into Clash of Clans. It was always a fun game, and a lot of quality of life updates over the years. So feel free to give it a shot. Clash of Clans. hit me up for a sponsor. I'd be more than willing to collab. So, jokes aside, everybody, thanks again for tuning in. Feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop any comments you have in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.